This week on the show, we are talking with David Dahlberg from the Open Wheel Show, one of the best ways for new fans to get into and a lay of the land when it comes to open wheel series. We're thankful for David for coming on the show and can't wait for our chat. All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Regen, the E Racing Podcast, episode 47. I'm your host Dino, and joining us this week, if you listen to the intro, is David Dahlberg from the Open Wheel Show. Hello, David.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Very excited to get into it.
And also a man who's absolutely fizzing to get on the show and talk about Formula One, even though it's a Formula E show. It's Chris Soulsby.
He is fizzing indeed. Hello, Dino. How are you?
Good. Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely fizzing.
I know it's going to be hard to not talk about it, but yeah, we will try and get on to media of the week to keep some structure into this episode. So, Chris, why don't you start us off with media of the week?
Kick it off with a difficult one. So, my media of the week is a little bit different this week. It's a book. And I've nominated books before for this. But it's very rare that I do, because it's very rare that I read. However, about 40 minutes before recording this, I picked up a book that was kindly loaned to me this week, called Elevation by Stephen King. I'm not far into it at all, because I'm a very slow reader. I'm basically 6-year-old when reading. But it's really good. It's a short story. Well, it looks short. It's only 135 pages and it's double spaced. So, you know, it's suiting me already. And it's about a man who has a strange condition. And I'm definitely not reading the blurb of the book here. It's it's about a man with a strange condition, and he's losing weight without getting any thinner. And the scales that he's standing on are registering the same weight, you know, even when he's dressed. So I don't know how it's going to go, but it's already gripped me, and I'm absolutely loving it. By Stephen King. I'm a very big Stephen King fan, as you will all know. And yeah, I think it's one to check out, really, because it's really drawn me in such a short space of time. So yeah, do it. Elevation.
It sounds like he just needs a new scale. I don't know. That sounds a little strange.
Maybe he does. Maybe that's have you just ruined it?
I'm sorry. No, no spoilers. No spoilers. Sorry.
Spoiler alert, his scales are knackered.
I love how you introduced it like you're an FIA accredited journalist, 6-year-old reading level.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Edit that for that.
Nah, it's staying in. All right, David.
Yeah, so for mine, I've got a book as well. So I just read it recently. It's called A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. It's a fantasy book. It's set in like an existing... He's got a whole bunch of books in this first law world is sort of what it's called. It's kind of broadly paralleling the Industrial Revolution kind of period, but with a fantasy spin on it. So it's really interesting. It's really good. Abercrombie's writing is really good, and it's very enjoyable. Goes by fast. It's a bit bigger, but it goes by fast.
Nice. And mine, you know Harley Quinn, who's the girlfriend of the Joker?
Not to talk to.
Yeah. Okay, well this is an animated series that follows her misadventures with her best friend slash partner in crime, Poison Ivy, after leaving her ex-boyfriend, the Joker. And it's really funny, a little bit crude, so there are a few expletives. And also, my favourite character is Frank, who is Poison Ivy's plant. He's got a real big part in the show, and he's really funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He's like one of those Venus flytrap sort of plants. He's one of those. So
that's cool. I've seen it advertised, and it looks very good.
It's really funny. It is really good. Yeah, it's a bit stupid, but yeah. So I watched 13 episodes last week. So season 1, and yeah, when I'm away next, I'll smash out season 2. So it's been good. And as always, links will be in the show notes for those. Right. It would be remiss of me not to ask you about the Open Wheel Show, David. So what is the Open Wheel Show?
Thanks. Yeah, so the Open Wheel Show, it's just sort of a podcast covering every form of open wheel racing that I can get my hands on these days, which is quite a lot. More and more stuff is getting streamed live, or at least made available afterwards on like YouTube and stuff. So it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. So it's almost more of a method for me to actually do that for myself. Just kind of keep track of where everybody is and how things are going in the various series. Right now, I've started off with sort of some intro series, so it might come across as a bit more educational than it probably will be in the future. Definitely planning to cover, race recaps, that kind of thing, but also some driver profiles, track profiles, a little bit of history maybe for not just F1, but things like Super Formula over in Japan or Toyota Racing Series there in your neck of the woods. So trying to branch out and get as much covered as possible.
Very cool. I really appreciated the different teams, and you had sort of how successful they've been in the past and your thoughts on where the drivers will get to this season, and also good for tracking all the Kiwis' progress.
Yeah. There's lots of them. There's lots of them everywhere.
Yeah, there is, which is awesome. There's some good talent coming through. Liam Lawson and Armstrong as well. So yeah. Insert your country of choice, and you'll be able to track them as well and see what teams they're in this season. So that was really cool. Future content plans. Is there any future content plans that you can talk to us about?
Yeah, so I've got obviously race recaps for everything, including IndyCar, which kicked off this last weekend as well. So it was a very busy weekend. There's F1, F2, F3, and Indy. Obviously, in the future, there's going to be some Formula E coverage once that gets underway. I can't wait for the death march of races at Berlin. It's going to be insane. And but aside from that kind of like race recap stuff and introductory stuff, I'm putting together right now a series on lost tracks. So tracks that F1 doesn't really race at anymore. Nobody really races at anymore, and whether or not they might be coming back onto the calendar at some point in the future. Imola being a good example of one, maybe coming back. It doesn't sound very likely anymore for F1 this year, but definitely in the future we could see races there again. So trying to cover some of the history of F1 and kind of also looking forward at the same time. So
nice, that would be exciting. I'm looking forward to it already. And of course, what are your social media handles? Where can people find your show?
Sure. So Twitter primarily is where I kind of talking a lot at. It's at Open Wheel Show on Twitter. I couldn't fit the in there just because Twitter's couldn't afford the extra characters for me, I guess. Then there's I do have a page on Facebook, it's the Open Wheel Show. You can just search for that or link in the show notes, I guess. And also the Open Wheel Show on Instagram. I haven't posted literally anything on there, but I probably will here in the near future.
Yep. So if he's a good enough guest, then all those links will be in the show notes.
Oh, wow. Gee, that's some pressure. Oh, no.
Yep. So same treatment here for everyone on the show. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Into some news, because there's plenty of it. Alex Lynn is back to replace Pascal Wehrlein at Mahindra for the season 6 finale, the Death March in Berlin, as David has said. So Alex Lynn, this is a good find, I've got to say, for Mahindra. Alex Lynn, we know he's quick. He got pole on debut when he first came into the series with Virgin, and he's done some good stuff with Jaguar. Unlucky not to get the seat. What are your thoughts, Chris? We'll come to you first, because I think this is a great pickup.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic signing from Mahindra. And I honestly can't think of a more deserving person for it as well. Because Alex Lynn deserves a full-time seat in Formula E, let's face it. And, he had his chance with Virgin and briefly in Season 3, full-time in Season 4. They got rid of him. He didn't have a full-time drive, got picked up by Jag. They then let him go. And, he's a driver with a lot of experience in Formula E. He's delivered, and it's his time to shine, really. And it's just exciting. It's nice to see him back where he belongs. It's a fresh opportunity as well, because that seat is thoroughly vacant now for season 7 as well. And it is a chance for him to really get back into the series. And he'll be more prepared this time. You know, he was parachuted in at Jaguar last year when he replaced Nelson Piquet. He'll be prepared with that situation. He'll be more familiar with it. And, you know, we could really see some good things from Alex Lynn and get Mahindra's season turned around as well. And I mean, if that isn't exciting, I don't know what is, because I honestly can't think of a more deserving person for that chance.
No, and
maybe Tom Dillman.
Yeah, podcast favourite. Shout out to Tom Dillman.
Yeah.
If he ever listens to the show, we're forever hopeful. Yeah, give us a thumbs up or something if you do listen to the show. It would make my day, it'd make my year, to be honest. It's been a pretty crap year. Yes, I do think Lynn's probably going to beat out D'Ambrosio, even though he's just coming into the series once again, because he's mega quick. He's mega quick, and he can pull that car. Yeah, I think the car's not stellar, but I think he'll pull it up into the points. Yeah, we'll see some good points from Lynn.
I'm looking forward to it because, I mean, he's somebody who made a pretty big impression in the junior formula there for a while, right? He's a GP3 champ. He's won the Macau Grand Prix, second in Toyota Racing, I think, in 2012 or 2013. So he was around and doing really well. It seems like he's kind of gotten parachuted into teams that maybe don't serve him very well in the past. I also wonder, though, the one thing that I wanted to ask you guys actually about this was, with his experience in WEC and endurance racing, do you see that translating well into a 6 races in 8 days format for this stuff? I think he might be pretty well positioned to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I do actually. I think staying awake is probably going to be a skill, and the endurance needed to finish all 6 of these races in such a short period of time. I'm not so sure how the demands of the car, I guess it's not going to be as demanding as a Formula One car, but, well, I've never driven anything like that, so, you know, I'm just a dude on a podcast, but I think, it's, you know, they do look like they're working hard.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it will help Alex Lynn. You know, you've got a few guys in Formula E who drive in WEC. You've got Buemi, Collado, Birds dabbled in it. Even guys like Alexander Sims have raced in IMSA in the US. So long haul races there. And yeah, I think that will benefit because it does keep it rolling on. And I suppose the key thing in endurance racing is, and we all know this from countless Le Mans races over the years, that it's not over until it's over. And over this massive 6-race haul in 9 days, there's going to be very big point swings. Things will happen. Momentum will change. And it's going to be very important to keep a lid on these emotions. And for an endurance driver, I'm not saying that the others can't do this, but for an endurance driver who's used to being in a race for the long haul, biding their time and really chipping through it, that could really pay dividends, I think. That certain mindset. And, you know, it's not a sprint, is this finale. It's very much a long haul thing that will keep going, and it'll be tiring for all parties. But if a driver can really shine in this time and drag a team forward and, you know, lead from the front, it could be really nice. And I think that will translate for some teams.
Yeah, I think we've seen some good patient sort of drives, just waiting, biding their time for the opportunity to get past. So Lynn, a great appointment, and looking to really see some fight, so he can get that season 7 seat. Try saying that quick, season 7 seat.
No thanks.
Yep, fair enough. Daniel Abt will replace Martin Qua for the remainder of Formula E's season 6 campaign at Neo 333. As the Chinese racer sits grounded as a result of travel restrictions by the coronavirus pandemic. This one coming out of the great publication that is Motorsport Week. Did you write this one, Chris?
I did write this one, Dina.
Well, it was a
Penned by
great
my own
read.
hands.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries.
It was a fun ride.
Yep. So a 6-race deal for Apt, who will partner the underrated Oliver Turvey in Formula E 6-race showdown in August. So 1 more month. 1 month to wait. Daniel Apt is back. After all the controversy and everything, it's great to see him back, to be honest. As he's a good driver, and yeah, I think he might be able to push Turvey a bit more than Ma has been. Yeah, I like it. It was a mistake. Yeah, let's see what he can do in the last 6 races. David, are you a Daniel Apt fan?
You know, I can't say that I am necessarily. I think he's a solid guy. Like, he's a solid racer. But what I'm most interested about in this is the fact that presumably, you know, Ma's coming back for next season, right? Like, nothing has changed on that front. So really, this seems to be like maybe just a showcase for him to try and land another seat, or has he actually got a chance at unseating Ma there? I don't really see that happening, but
I would say probably does. If he can, I mean, we know he's good around Tempelhof, so regardless of the fact there's going to be 3 different layouts, I guess it is his time to shine. We know Neo's obviously a Chinese manufacturer, and it's going to be hard for them to not have potentially a Chinese driver, but you never know. Turvey might leave.
that's a fair point. Yeah, hadn't really thought about that. I mean, Turvey, like you said, I am a big Turvey fan. I think he is a bit underrated and deserves, you know, maybe a better drive than Neo can provide. Certainly this year, and who knows, things change, but probably next year as well. So, yeah, that's true. I definitely hope that Apt stays on the grid. I mean, he's been around for so long, and he has these performances where he really puts it all together and can do good things. But I think it was a bit unfortunate that Audi let him go, and the whole sim racing debacle that was. But I'm glad to see him back on the grid, though.
Yeah, we won't go back into that. No. But the thing is, under the Gen 2 car, his performances haven't been stellar. It's sort of, he changed from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and everyone seems to have gotten closer, and the series is a lot more competitive. And I think, Chris, you were saying, you know, the guys like Nico Prost and Bruno Senna and stuff, it just fell to bits as soon as there were more quality coming in.
Yeah, that's what I see in Daniel Apt, really. I think he's an immense talent, and on his day, you know, he can really shine. We've seen him deliver fantastic results before for that Audi team. But Formula E as a championship has reached this level. You know, it's got more manufacturers than any other championship in the world. It's got top flight drivers, ex-F1 drivers, you know, Le Mans winners, champions in some world championship series. It's a top flight series now, and I think Daniel Apt was slowly starting to look a bit out of his depth. And I think the case study of Nico Prost was quite a good example of that, because we saw Prost shine in Formula E's first 2 seasons. Season 3 didn't really get any. He didn't finish on the podium once, and then in season 4 he really struggled. Some said it was because of the tires, but he was a man who was out of his depth, and I think we've seen that with Apt, particularly this season. I think he did get a couple of podiums last year, but I mean this year he was certainly out of his depth, and Audi would not have kept him, really. We all knew that he was going to be out. But it's nice to see him back at the end of the day. You know, he's a very talented driver. He's got a lot of experience as well. You know, this guy has started every single E-Prix to date, and fortunately that's a record he can keep until the end of this season at least. And he's been handed this lifeline by Neo. He's very lucky to have it. From my understanding, I think it was between him and Piquet Jr. for the seat at Neo. And Mars, I know, right? And Mars grounding has kind of led to this opportunity. I don't know if he's got a shot at a season 7 drive. I think Ma is kind of locked in at the team for season 7. Shock. But it depends on Turvey. But also, this is Oliver Turvey's time to shine as well. arguably this is probably the toughest teammate he's had. Not to insult Nelson Piquet Jr., but he wasn't on the pace for 4 years in the series. And this is a chance for Turvey as well at the end of the day. If he can beat Daniel Abt fair and square, who held that works Audi drive for 5.5 years, it really shows his credentials too. And it's going to be fascinating to see what this leads to as well. And obviously this is a massive chance for Neo. Daniel Abt is very talented in Berlin. One of the most dominant Formula E wins came from Abt in Berlin in season 4. And this is their chance to get points in a scenario that's unprecedented for any championship in the world, probably. And, where people will make mistakes and it's more unpredictable. Daniel Abt could really turn their season round. And it needs turning round, unfortunately, let's face it.
It does. So a good choice over the likes of podcast favourite Tom Dillman.
Oh. No. Tom's the only one, isn't he? He's the GOAT. He deserves a full-time drive in Formula E.
It's just a hard no. I like it. It's just no, not a good choice.
That is the correct answer. That is the correct answer.
Just no.
Very good.
If you're the Neo team principal, Vincent Wang, I believe, is it? Get Tom in the car, will you?
I don't know. In my eyes, it should still be Jerry. Bring back Jerry. Jerry Hughes. Yep.
Hashtag bring back Jerry.
Yep, that's the one. Okay.
We'll do a petition.
So, the FIA has released a long-term Formula E sporting and technical regulations. Motorsport Week, once again. Must have pulled these all off the website, Chris. So, each team operational staff will be cut from 20 members to 17, while one remote garage featuring a maximum of 6 people will be authorised, reducing the carbon footprint of the championship as fewer people attend events. The use of brake discs and pads will also be controlled over the course of a season to reduce cost, while limits on software, bodywork and sensors are also being explored to reduce non-essential spending. Also establishing a logistics working group. Logistical costs will also be optimised, while Formula E is also working on redistribution of prize money from the 2021 season, ensuring that all competitors can challenge for wins under controlled costs. Well, let's hope Neo are back. And some great news, Williams Advanced Engineering will supply battery systems for the Gen 3 era. So they've got that contract back. Good for Williams Advanced Engineering. Spark Racing Technology will continue to produce the chassis. And yeah, the biggest one, Hankook Tires, South Korean company replacing Michelin, who have supplied tyres since the series' inaugural season in 2014. So Hankook, I see them around, but they're not too common here in New Zealand. Yep, okay, cool. I'm sure they provide tyres for other series, which I'll come to you guys in a minute because you probably know more about that than me. Also, the Gen 3 car, a significant power increase to 350 kilowatts in qualifying, 300 kilowatts in races, while in Season 8, Formula E's current Gen 2 car will see an increased power outage to 220 kilowatts. And regenerative braking power will also be increased to 600 kilowatts, both front and rear, compared to the 250 kilowatt rear-only regen, which is huge. This is massive. And I feel this is probably going to be... These cars are going to find it hard to continue racing on street circuits with that amount of power. It's going to get spicy. Guys, thoughts on any of those?
It's exciting, to say the least. Formula E are taking important steps at the moment as a championship. As a result of the whole pandemic, they did implement cost-saving measures for next season with the homologation period, but now they're actively trying to reduce costs with limited parts, limited crew members, and then also they're reducing tire allocations on race weekends too. That's big, not just financially, but also environmentally as well. They're making it more affordable and more sustainable in doing so. And I think it's an important thing to do for the series, really. As a a championship that races for a better tomorrow and its branding. Yeah, that's key, I think, and it's definitely a good way forward. And that desire to really keep it a fair and competitive series where any team has the chance to win or at least get on the podium regardless of financial situation. That's definitely something a few series can aspire to, I think. Not naming any Formula One. Cough, cough. And then we've got Gen 3 as well. We've got this new battery, increased power outage, greater regen as well on 600 kilowatts. Means that the cars will be able to go faster because there'll be more energy regenerated under braking. Then there's the fast charging capability, which could bring strategy into it. It's very exciting, really. And the cars are set to be lighter. We're looking at a seriously fast package when the Gen 3 car does come about. And yeah, that's going to be fascinating on street circuits. I was actually talking to, who was it? Alexander Sims last week about the new rules and regs the day they came out. And this is one of the things he said. He goes, these cars are going to be so fast. He says, we do all the racing in one day. We only get a couple of laps to do 250 kilowatts. And come qualifying, we're going full beans as fast as possible. And he goes, and that feels fast. The Gen 3 car is going to be crazy quick. And that's exciting. That's very exciting, I can't wait to see that. It's a good step, I think.
Yeah. David, anything from you on this one?
Yeah, on the note of the speed, I mean, the thing that I thought about instantly was there was a recent interview roundtable or something with Susie Wolf, and one of the things they talked about was the future of Formula E and electric being the future, and what does this mean for potentially Formula One in the future. And she came around to this point of, at some point, Formula E cars should be about as quick as Formula One cars in the future, and at that point it kind of they'll have to a big crossover event, and I think that this is like a huge step in the right direction for that. I really like the sort of attention to detail that the FIA has with regards to Formula E, and making small changes like reducing the amount of team personnel that are going to the races. It doesn't sound like a big thing. It's probably not a big thing from cost-cutting perspectives either. I mean, it's just travel expense for 3 people per team. But, at the end of the day, that's still... or 3 people per... Is it per team or per car? Team, I guess, yeah.
Per team, I think.
Yeah, so it's not that many people not taking those flights, but it is some reduction. It's nice to get in that direction. And... it's not a huge cost-saving measure because, I mean, it's already really cheap to race in Formula E compared to Formula One, right? I mean, the new budget caps in Formula One are like 145 million, and Jaguar spent like 12 million, I think, last year. I think that figure's been floated around. So it's not a huge cost-saving measure, but it's really exciting to see them pushing, in that direction, just ever being mindful of what the core message behind Formula E really is. And I really enjoy that. On this note, I don't know if you guys saw, there's Dahlberg Gill put out a statement saying that Gen 3 should be about fast recharging and how that might be possible with Williams coming back in as the battery supplier. I don't know if you guys saw that or had any thoughts.
Yeah, I love it. I think that'd be great. I do want to keep attack mode though. I love attack mode. But yeah, some fast recharging. I think it was like 30 seconds they would be able to charge enough to like make an actual real big impact in the race.
Yeah.
And 30 seconds, that seems crazy. You plug your phone in, you get 1%, 30 seconds. Hardly 1%. Amazing.
I mean, it seems ambitious, certainly, but if they could do that, it would introduce another level of strategy and maybe make it look a little bit more like motorsport that a lot of people are used to. Pit stops are a huge part of, Formula E or Formula One, sorry, IndyCar, Formula E in the past when they had to use the 2 cars. But I think it adds that extra level. I agree, though. They should absolutely keep attack mode. It's one of the best things in Formula E going, I think.
Yeah, I guess you'd only need one guy in the pit box instead of having 10 guys around the car, hold the car stable, put the tires on, the guys with the guns. You just need
car, I suppose.
One dude waiting there with this big ass hose to charge it. It just driver goes into the pit box, dude with the hose waiting, 30 seconds. He's waiting there, release. Right. Then the light goes green and it's on again. It'll look weird, but yeah. Yeah, I think it's quite cool. Yeah, you can hear the smile coming across the microphone right now. Yeah.
You can. It is exciting. And it's something that's been talked about for a few years now. I think it was first mentioned in 2018. That's when I first heard about it, at least. And from Mahindra, actually. So yeah, it's exciting to see that transition of technology and see that development and actually see something that could get implemented because the technology permits, and that's a massive step forward now.
Yeah. Also, Hankook. We'll go back to the tires. I know they sponsor or are partners in other series. I think they're partners in W Series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they supply W Series and DTM. It's a big step forward for them. I mean, it's something that they obviously are really interested in pursuing, is more involvement in motorsport. And I mean, this is as good as it's going to get, I think, for Hankook. We'll have to see how they go and just make sure that they don't have any technical issues with their tires when they come on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Alrighty, anything more on those guys?
We're going to lose the Michelin man from the podium.
What a shame.
Is there a Hankook man? Can they just do like a 1-for-1 swap?
This is a marketing exercise now. Maybe there should be a Hankook man.
Yeah, I'm going to cut this out and then send it to Hankook and go, here you go.
Have we got news for you?
It would be, after such a brilliant race at the Red Bull Ring, to not talk about it at the back end of last week. So, guys, thoughts on Formula One being back, because it is good. I mean, this is a Formula E show, but dang, I love me some Formula One.
It was an amazing race. I really enjoyed every part of that. I mean, the reliability issues, I think, is something that maybe a lot of people had kind of given a miss, but it is a good reminder that this is the beginning of the season, even though it's July, and everybody's car broke down, which was fantastic. And that the Lando podium, man, this is the story of the day. I wish one day that one of my kids is as happy to see me after getting a podium in a race that he runs at me and jumps on me like Lando jumped on Zach Brown. That was just the most adorable thing I've seen in Formula One ever, I think.
Yeah, that GIF is it's out there. I couldn't. Yeah, it was almost a tear welling up in my eye when Lando got the podium. I loved his. He's such a kid still. Like, he's like, yeah, boy. GG. Like, yeah, he's
it was fantastic.
He's like, fantastic stuff. Couldn't believe it. Yeah,
he was actually doing some streams afterwards. He went on Twitch and was walking around the track and giving people a rundown of where he started on the grid and what it looks like from his perspective. And so it's just an amazing sort of achievement for a guy that I think represents a lot of the future of Formula One, maybe more so than some of his other peers. So,
yeah, I've got to say, McLaren, they must be loving it right now. They've got Daniel Ricciardo on the way, and what a talent Lando Norris is. Oh,
the memes! It's the meme team. I mean, they need a Reddit sponsorship on the side of that car ASAP.
Yeah, there you go, McLaren. You can send David some money for the idea. There you go.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Plugging.
Yeah, or Twitch. Yeah. So, imagine that if they came in with the next race as Twitch as the title sponsor.
Well, it's only a matter of time. I feel like they're going to get on one of those cars at some point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair. Be a good partnership, full-time Twitch streamer to F1 podium finisher, as he tweeted at some point over the past 24 hours. So, it was a thoroughly deserved podium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Have you seen his final lap that he did of the race?
Yeah.
It was perfect. There was
Yeah,
nothing
it was
wrong at
incredible.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. And, that kind of, delivering under that kind of pressure is, it's incredible. Very good. Especially for someone so young.
Yeah, for sure. What did we think of Racing Point? Because they were touted as the third best car. And for them to sort of fall away, Stroll coming away with a DNF with no power, and Perez just falling behind. I know he was on older tyres, but it just didn't seem like their day. Are we going to see them come back in race 2? Yeah,
I think we'll see them bounce back. It was just a difficult race for them. The Mercedes powertrain from this powertrain. Good God, Formula E is ingrained in my brain.
Yeah, the powertrain, the hybrid.
Yeah.
That power unit, the Mercedes power unit is very fragile. It looks like this year, which is a bit, a bit of a surprise. And that was Stroll's retirement. But with Perez, I think, the strategy just kind of fell away from them, didn't it? They missed some opportunities. They should have put him on the softs. If they had put him on the softs, I think he probably would have beaten Norris if they did make that call. But then at the end of the day, he was caught speeding in the pit lane anyway, so it would have fallen down regardless through driver error and team error. But I think they'll bounce back for sure, because that is one quick-looking car.
I don't think the second safety car helped them either.
No, the sheer number of safety cars and in such a short time period as well, I think disrupted a lot. Hamilton came out and said that it disrupted his strategy as well to try and take a run at Bottas there. I think, speaking of like looking at laps, if I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see clips of the onboard footage from Vettel and Leclerc in the Ferrari, that car looks basically undrivable. Like, I know Vettel's out there saying it's undrivable, but it looks like it too. It looks like a nightmare. So for Leclerc to get P2 out of all of that mess is pretty impressive as well.
There were some pictures on Twitter of someone had taken, I can't remember who, but the steering wheel was opposite lock to the way it was going.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he was fighting that car just to get it to go in a straight line. Amazing. Every single entry to like T4 on that track, he was just opposite lock trying to get it under control. Vettel locked up going into T3, I think half of the laps of the race. Like, it's just ridiculous. It looks like a train wreck of a car. So it does. Hopefully that package that's coming for Hungary can sort that out, because it is not a good car this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't have much to say. It was like he was driving a donkey, wasn't it?
That's the exact word I was thinking of earlier today. It's like an old donkey, like a donkey that doesn't want to do anything anymore ever.
Just horrible.
Yeah. Just
no straight line speed, no cornering stability, crap on the brakes. Just no.
Yeah, and I think Carlos Sainz will be looking at that and going, "Well, please be good, please be good." Please get back to where it was. Yeah. So, any final bits from you guys?
What was your thought on the Hamilton-Albon incident in Turn 4?
David?
I mean, I don't know. It's so hard because it's like second time in 3 races, Hamilton punts Albon off of a podium, basically. Really hard to see. Albon's probably my favorite driver on the grid at this point. I think heartbreaking for him. At the same time, again, if you look at onboards, Hamilton's doing as much as he can at that point to avoid contact, I think. It did seem to me to be maybe more of a racing incident than not. I think it could easily go either way, though. So, like, the penalty is the penalty. It's fine. It's not the most egregious call that's ever been made, a la, Canada last year. But You know, still just heartbreaking for Albon. But it does show that he has the pace. I think I'm going to be very curious to see the Red Bulls this weekend again at Austria, or Styria, as we're going to all call it this weekend. And see how he goes, because I think he's got a lot of pace and he deserves a podium, if not a win. So,
yeah, I don't know if he'll get a win this year, but he'll definitely get a podium for sure. The pace is there from Albon, but yeah, a tough one to call. Like you say, David, it wasn't an egregious call, but and you know, mid corner, Albon was ahead, but yeah, you can see on Lewis's car on board that he was doing all he could. So, yeah, interesting one, and that sort of gave Bottas a bit more breathing room. So, I'm happy with that. Yeah. I don't know if you know, David, quite a big Bottas fan.
Yeah,
here.
I was going to say it's a huge day for Bottas fans.
It's a huge day for Bottas fans.
It's another strong start to the season. It's good.
Yeah. Me and the other 5 around the world. No, I'm sure he's got heaps. I'm sure that Finland's divided between Kimi and himself, so he's got at least half of Finland. All in all, a brilliant race, and can't wait to see the next one. So, finally, thank you to Huzu Graphics on Twitter for doing the amazing artwork, which we'll see some more of when we get back to Formula E racing. He's working on one at the moment for us. It's a new design, so that'll be quite cool. We are on Twitter at Regen Racing, Instagram at Regen E Racing Pod, as well as Facebook Regen E Racing Pod, and the website www.regenracingpodcast.com. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts, and I'm still going for world domination to be on everything podcasting. Thank you for listening to us. We really do appreciate it, considering the amount of Formula E podcasts and other amazing ones on offer. And also, if you'd like to donate to the show, it would go towards the artwork and the cost of keeping the website up and running. And if you like us, give us a review. You know, it makes our day to see some 5-star reviews on Podchaser or iTunes. And if you don't like us, well, don't leave a review. But yeah, let us know what we're doing wrong, and we can hopefully fix it. Yeah. All right. David, thank you for coming on. It's been awesome to have you. And we'll have to do this again for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for having me on. It's a good time, and hopefully, best of luck through the death march for you guys too. I'm sure keeping up with all those races and covering them is going to be difficult. So
it is. That is going to be one hell of a 2 weeks, I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have the coffee right beside the desk to be able to cover all of those things. So we will have potentially a couple of episodes that will cover the races. We're not going to be able to do like a podcast for every single race, but we will get as much coverage as possible. So with that, thank you very much and goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you.
Yeah, boy. GG.
Yeah, no, nailed it.